Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Benjamin Z. Miller Investor Networking Group. It is so nice to see everyone here. We have investors from around the world, from the United States and Europe. And if you're watching this on the internet, you should just join the group and start coming to the meetings if you want to learn more about how to profit with investments. So today we've got an interesting topic. We talk about wholesale real estate investing and how you can flip real estate contracts for fast cash. That's right. I said flip contracts, not flip houses, not flip anything. You're just going to assign a contract. So what exactly is wholesale real estate? Well, it is a strategy where an investor goes and finds a motivated seller, makes an offer on a property for far below market value. That investor negotiates so hard and offers a low cash offer. The seller is in a situation where they want cash, they need cash, and they agree to accept the offer. Once they accept that offer, the closing might be in 30 days. Then that investor, that wholesaler, will call his friends, he'll call his business associates, he'll call other contacts that have cash, and he will say, hey, I got a contract on a property that is worth 200,000 the property. I got a contract for 120,000. Pay me 10,000. Pay me 20,000, and I will assign my contract to you, and you can buy the property. So that's how that works. So how can you sell something you don't own? This is a great question. It is a question that is often asked. And actually, you're not selling something that you do not own. You are a party to a legal contract. By virtue of the fact that you signed a contract with the seller, you now have an equitable interest in the contract. And this means that you can assign that interest. Now, in most states in the United States, and actually, frankly, most where around the world, contracts are assignable. And what that means is if somebody does a contract as a buyer and then decides that they want to give that contract or assign that contract to someone else, they are legally allowed to do that in most cases, unless the contract says somewhere that it is not assignable. Now, depending on what geographic area you're in the world, you should check with a lawyer. But in general, this works pretty much anywhere. So you're not selling a contract, you're not selling real estate. You are selling a contract to purchase real estate. So that is the key to it. You are assigning a contract. So if you went and found an asset that was worth 1 million, and you could somehow find a motivated seller that would sell it to you, that would sign a contract that they would sell it for $600,000 in cash, and then say you knew some other millionaires that had cash in the bank that were looking for a good deal, and you went to them and said, hey, I've got a contract for 600,000 cash. If you pay me 50,000 cash, you can have my contract. I will assign my contract to you, and then you can purchase this property that's worth 1 million for only 650,000. You can do this not only with real estate, you can do this with essentially any sort of a contract where you can get a good deal. You could go get a contract on a boat, on a car, and you could assign that contract in the same way. So these are basically the way that it works. Now, when you fill out the contract, you want to add the phrase and or assigns. You may not even need that, but it certainly makes it more clear. So it avoids a conversation later where you try to change the buyer and the seller says, well, hey, you're changing the buyer. I thought it was going to be you. And then you're explaining, well, that's why it says and or assigns. So that's the key to that. So how does it work? Well, the key is you are trying to purchase the asset for far less than 75% of market value. And it's not going to work if you go and get an asset at 10% below market value. There's not enough margin that you're going to be able to very likely assign that contract. But once you get down to below 75% of the market value, now you can very often find someone that will agree to do it. But what do you do if you try this and then you can't assign it? Well, you would have in your contract a weasel clause. Now, a weasel is an animal that has a reputation for being hard to catch. They are very nimble and they're very good at maneuvering and they're very hard to catch. And that is why there's a term weasel clause, and it's a joke, and it means a legal clause that allows you to back out. So, for example, if you say this contract is subject to my business partner's approval, that is a weasel clause, because you're saying now you can say, oh, my business partner didn't approve, and you can cancel it. You could say this contract is subject to passing my full inspection. There's a lot of different weasel clauses that you can put in. And they're not hard to find, but you just on the contract, you write in a weasel clause, and that allows you to cancel the contract for any reason. And if you have difficulty doing this, you can go to any lawyer that is in your geographic area and they can help you with a weasel clause. But here's some classic weasel clauses: a financing contingencies. You could say, this contract is contingent on me finding satisfactory financing within 30 days of the effective date at a competitive market interest rate and terms acceptable to the buyer. Well, what that means is you can cancel the contract for any reason. You just would say, I didn't find any acceptable financing. I'm not going to buy it. So now the trick with this sort of thing is, if you're trying to do this, you need to focus on only off-market deals. Don't waste time trying to do this with deals that are not off market. So that is so important, because you're just going to waste your time if you're calling up on assets that are advertised publicly for sale. Maybe a real estate agent is involved. Maybe some broker is involved. And when you start trying to do your wholesale deal, they're going to swat you away like you are a fly. They do not want you around. They don't like wholesalers because you're just going to buy for a really cheap price and they don't want you. So the only way you're going to be able to do this is if you have an inexperienced real estate agent that maybe it's their first month being a real estate agent. Even those guys usually talk to someone that warns them, don't deal with a wholesaler. So when you put a contract down, you're going to put down no money, little or no money. You could write in $10. You could write in whatever you want to write in. But if you put it on the table and you don't close on the deal, you're going to lose the money. So that's important to not put money down. It's important to not try to do this on market deals. I give an example here. There are a dozen ways to do this. I just show this as one example. I'm not suggesting you do this. I just pointed out as a way of thinking. If you went around and knocked on doors in a safe neighborhood, I'm not talking about in some ghetto war zone where you might get shot. But if you're in a safe neighborhood and you knocked on doors and you said, hey, I'm looking to buy a property in this neighborhood. Do you know anyone that might be looking to sell? I want to buy directly from the seller. I don't want to work with a real estate agent. And you need to say, I don't want to work with a real estate agent, because you're going to end up with a bunch of cards for real estate agents. And you don't want those, because the real estate agent is not going to want to work with you. Only a very new real estate agent will put up with a wholesaler. So that's one way, but there's many ways. You could put signs out. You could put signs out that say, any house, any condition, cash offer. That makes it clear that you don't care if it's in good condition or bad. You could put signs out that say, behind on payments, stop foreclosure. That will often be a motivated seller. Though on those signs, you may have a problem where there's not enough equity for your lowball offer. You may have to convert it to a short sale. Don't waste your money fixing an old house, sell it fast for cash. You just put some signs out, or you could advertise online. Or here's a great one. Pick up the telephone and call people. Call people that are advertising something for sale by owner. Maybe they are advertising real estate for sale by owner. You call up and you say, hey, I saw your advertisement for this property. I don't want this property. It is not what I want. But do you have any other properties for sale? Now that is a $1 million question, because if you ask that question to 20 different sellers, One of them is going to say, you know, I do have another property, but I haven't listed it with a real estate agent yet. And it's still rented, or it's vacant, or it needs rehab, or whatever they say. And then when you say, that's exactly what I'm interested in, let me make you an offer on that one. Don't list it with a real estate agent. Now you're getting closer to a deal. You can also work with companies that do Facebook and Google advertising. There's Faith Digital. They are a great company. You can talk to Christopher and Joshua. They can help you with an advertising campaign. You can call up cities and you can get lists of properties that have violations. And then you get this list. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Not every city will give it to you, but many of them will. And then you call up the owners of these properties and say, hey, I'd like to buy your property. Well, since the owner of that property knows that the city is threatening them with a violation, they want to sell. Because if they had lots of extra cash floating around, they would have just paid someone to fix the violation. But since they're out of cash in most cases, that is an opportunity for you to swoop in and make your offer. So you want to quickly sort through the motivated sellers. Don't waste your time trying to convert someone into a motivated seller that is not a motivated seller. You may think you are an amazing negotiator and you are so talented, but believe me, even if you do talk the guy into your signing your contract, if he finds a better deal, he's going to kick your contract to the side. He's going to cancel the deal. And you're not going to be able to buy it. You can run around and talk about how you're going to file a lawsuit and do all of that, but that doesn't really make any difference in the real world. You've got to close on it quickly once you get it signed. So if the guy's not motivated, don't deal with it. So I made, the thing is to manage your time. I made a table that shows you how to figure this out. So if the seller says something like, you know, I'm 3 months behind on the payments and I need to sell, I don't care if I get anything out of it. I'll sell it for what I owe. That's a motivated seller. Now, if you're talking to someone and they say, well, you know, for the right price, we might sell, but it would have to be a really good price. That's not a motivated seller. Motivated seller might say, I inherited this property and I don't want to fix it up. I don't want to wait months. I don't want to pay for a commission. That's a motivated seller. Not motivated might say something like, look, you're welcome to make me an offer and I'll consider it. Anything is for sale for the right price. That's not a motivated seller. Don't even waste your time making your lowball offer. It's not even worth writing it up. You know, the guy's not motivated. He's just going to waste your time writing that offer up. A motivated seller might say, we're moving from Texas to Florida and we need to sell. We also purchased another house in Florida. We need to sell. This house is vacant. Motivated. Not motivated. They'll tell you, I'm not motivated. They love to say that. I'm not motivated and I'm not going to take any lowball offers. Now, if you want to make me a good offer, I'll consider it. So you can figure out which category they're in. So don't deal with that. Now, you need to know what the house is worth. If it's a house, if it's some other asset, you need to get comparable sales. So if you don't know how to do that, get with a real estate agent or somebody that's a broker in that space that knows how to price the assets. On your first deal or two, you can cut them in where they can get some money on it if they help you with it. You know, you need to know what it's worth to make your lowball offer. So that's important to know. What about earnest money? Once again, if you let the seller dictate terms to you, you're going to end up in a bad situation. So don't ever ask the seller, like, how much earnest money do you want? Because as soon as you say that, the seller will say something absurd, like asking you for 10% earnest money or 1% earnest money. You just write up an offer and you put in $10 as earnest money. If the seller complains about it, you just tell the seller, look, if you find somebody you want to sell it to, that's fine. I'll just back out of it. You can sell it to them. But I'm not going to put up any earnest money. That way, it just makes it clear. So if they don't want to play the game with you, if they don't want to dance with you, then just go find another seller. Don't waste your time trying to make it hard. So assigning a contract, it's just basically like this. I'm gonna, in the slide deck that you get, I will include this and you can watch it, but basically you just fill out a assignable contract. Okay, so that is it. And a couple of reminders, if you're watching this on the internet, every week we have these, and you're welcome to join the Benjamin Z. Miller Investor Networking Group. We also have a Discord server. Just go to benjaminzmiller.com and fill out the contact form. All right, so that is it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and open it up for any